What can wash away my sin? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. And what can make me whole again? Nothing but the blood of Jesus.
Hello, 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 everybody. Good evening.
Hello. Can you guys hear us? Type on the side. Type on the
Hello
side if
from
you can hear us.
Colorado. Hello, Colorado.
I sent
What's
the link
going
to
on, everybody? We are going to take a little bit just to kind of let people kind of file in. We always start off with this upbeat music. We had our graphic there. We're starting out strong. I love seeing the comments. Please, as we go through the night, comment. Let us know where you're commenting in from, where you're watching live from. We really want this to feel like a community event as we sort of get started. This is our first live stream for David, A King's Calling. Karen Brewer, hey, you cooks. What's up, Karen? Good to see you.
Good
Kyler,
to see you, Karen.
we're finally here. This has been 3 years in the works. Like, no kidding. 3 years. We were minding our own business. All of a sudden, Dallas Jenkins made this show, The Chosen, kicked my butt. I was going through a really tough time. I'll tell a little bit more about that story in a little bit. But, we started talking. We want to do faith-based film. We want to do a Christian project. We started writing back and forth. The first thing that we decided to write, David, A King's Calling, right? 3 years ago. You remember that?
Yep, absolutely. And again, Caleb is going to get more into the story here in just a little bit. We are absolutely living our dream right now. This is something that we could not do without all of your support here. It says Caleb's feed is stuttering on your end. Steve is asking. I don't know for sure. Is anyone else having Caleb's feed?
I think it was just I was stuttering with my words.
That's all right. You're a little nervous. This is our first go around. We'll figure it out. Everything coming in clear for me, says Tyler.
Hey.
You got that high-speed interwebs. Love, David. Looking forward to hearing more. Julie, we got some good stuff for you because you will not find, well, maybe you will. This is kind of competitive. I shouldn't say this. You will not find two bigger fans of King David than my brother and I. We have been major fans our whole life. There's a lot of our personal story of Jesus saving us and of some of the things that we've been through in our life that we always have felt like we can really relate to King David and to his character. And yet at the same time, don't we all want to be like King David? Don't we all? So it does look like people are coming in. We have 24 watching, which is excellent. Excellent.
Man, so thank you all so much for taking the time tonight. Just we want to get straight to the nitty-gritty. Mm-hmm. We want to let you all in on some of the huge announcements. If you're a part of the community group, if you're not a part of the community group, go join it now.
Sell it, Caleb.
David A King's Calling community group. You got to be there. I posted a video today where I was getting chased by a Tyrannosaurus Rex on a green screen, of course. T-Rexes have been dead for some time. But, we're excited to kind of build that community, start to chat with people. We know we love the Bible. We love bringing it to life. We love filmmaking. We love storytelling. But you have the opportunity and the ability to help us out as we kind of craft this and create this from the very beginning. And so it's a huge honor to sort of start this with you all. And so if you haven't yet, go ahead to that community group, David A King's Calling. If you are a part of the group and you have some friends that you think might be interested, share that, like that. We'd love to be able to kind of grow that group out and get past the Facebook algorithms that prevent us from even talking to those people who follow and like our page. We post a graphic, we post a photo, we get 20 people who see it. And, in this community group, we're already seeing 10x the amount of views, comments, likes. And so that's really where we're going to be doing a lot of our work.
Absolutely. We're really excited about that, to actually be able to get some reach. I see Lexi. Can't wait for auditions. Us either, Lexi. We are very excited. And we've been really blown away by your support specifically. It was wonderful meeting you down in Florida at the conference. Hey, Steve, says Julie. Steve, you can say hi to Julie back if you want. Look, all right, there we go. There we go. That's community building right there. Yeah. That's community.
Kyler, I think we just jump right into it. I think we've got the folks here that we need here. And first things first. Listen. We are so grateful for the opportunity to speak to you guys tonight about our sort of premiere project, David A King's Calling, this pilot episode into an 8-episode series based on the young life of King David. David being anointed, being called to become king. And we have some huge announcements for you. Particularly, I think one of the things that we're most excited about is we have a producer. Kyler, we have a producer.
We have someone that can come in and help, Caleb.
just sort of share that load and that burden.
It really is. Producing a show is like Bane in the darkness. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It really is a grind. And to have someone that can come in and not just anyone, someone with real talent, someone that knows the industry. And so we're very excited to make that announcement tonight. But first off, my name is Kyler Cook. I've not introduced myself. Some of you are in here. You've never met me. You've never seen me. And now you're seeing two of me, which is kind of cool. I'm an identical twin. And I'm 32. I was born in the South of Illinois. And so I am half of Twin Bolt Media, and I'm currently located in Portage, Michigan. And I'm so excited to show you guys this world that we've been creating for 3 years. Caleb.
Caleb Cook, the other half of the identical twin duo, known as Twin Bolt, co-creators, co-writers, co-producers. Kyler likes to tell people in interviews that he's carried me on his back through this process. I like to think of it as a mutual gifting, and we're both bringing something to the table. I live in State College, Pennsylvania, currently, but we have got some really exciting things to announce. I think we just jump right in. We got some folks here.
We don't want to waste anyone's time. That's not who we are. We're blue collar. Let's get it.
Without further ado, our producer coming on to help us with David a King's Calling. Welcome, Catherine.
Hey!
Can you hear us? Can you see us? This is great. This is great.
Hey, everybody.
Okay, we can see you.
Great.
Can you hear us, Catherine?
I can see and hear you guys. Sorry. There's always a lag after the videos. I don't know why.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Catherine Lidstone, actress, singer-songwriter, producer. She's coming in to, I think, bring so many different lenses and perspectives to this project that I'm so stoked about. You're going to be acting in the project. You're going to be helping us produce it, kind of get it off the ground, building some of that community. You all will see her a lot more in the fan page and on Instagram, and she might even take over some of these live streams for us. Just like that, there's a disconnection, but we're going to keep rolling. So you're going to see her, as I said that, you're going to see her. She's out, right? That was it. That was all she needed. She'll be back in just a second, I'm sure. She's been having some Wi-Fi connection issues. But this is,
Leilani.
Yeah. The big announcement really is that Catherine came on very early on. And that's just going to happen throughout the show. And so if you leave like that, as I say, Catherine's going to be president and she's gone. She ducks out. Catherine, we met, months and months ago at this point. We were starting to look at cast for the role. We got in contact with an acting agent out in LA and showed us sort of a resource pool of actors and actresses. Came across your photo and was like, oh, this is interesting. It's someone that looks the part, but you never know with these things. And then, we sent you some sides and we did that first audition. And if I can speak just plainly with you and everybody who's watching, just blown away by what you brought to that read. And we said immediately, hey, she has to be a part of this project as an actress. And any other way that she wants to be a part of the project, we got to make space for her. And that kind of started conversations about you helping to produce. Catherine, jump in, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you guys. That's an amazing introduction. And hopefully the internet is our friend for the next little while. As soon as I heard about the project, as soon as I read the script, obviously I'm a little biased because I'm coming from another project that is going over similar themes and topics and characters. And so I was just instantly like, this is going to be wonderful. I want to be involved as much as I possibly can. And it's really just been the same feeling from the start. And, a lot of times, you'll get excited about a project and then it'll fade or interests change or collaborative natures aren't always the best combination. But from that moment until today, it's always been sort of this burgeoning feeling of this is something beautiful and powerful, and that really needs to happen.
Oh, that's awesome to hear you say that, Kyler. I mean, I think you played a huge part in looking at the script and actually writing a character specific for Catherine.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that character?
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever and I just wanted to add as well, some of you may have seen Catherine is Mary, the sister of Lazarus on The Chosen, and so we've been deeply impacted by what Dallas Jenkins is doing with The Chosen. We've been really impressed even with your work so far on that show. We're taking it a little bit different of a direction with this character. Many of you know David had a lot of brothers, and specifically he has an older brother, Eliab. Catherine's going to be playing Eva, the wife of Eliab, in our story. And Eliab is a hothead. He's explosive. He's somebody that has a really hard time with kind of seeing the big picture over his ego. And a really cool part of this character that we're going to have Catherine playing of Eva is that she's kind of going to root him to the truth and root him to humility. And it's going to be a really cool role. We already had the role as a part of the script, but as soon as we met Catherine, we realized, she's in this position where we got to give her some screen time. I really wish, Caleb, that we could have recorded the audition just to be able to show people, because we would give notes and Catherine would jump in there and she would, it was just fantastic. And so with having her and having the other actors that we're getting ready to discuss in this show, it's this really weird sensation where we're seeing these genuine characters come to life in a real way, where I honestly don't think we've ever seen anything like this with the character of David. And I'm gonna say it, Caleb. You ready? I don't think we ever will. I think this is going to set the standard for King David. And I know that sounds arrogant, but if we're able to hit our crowdfunding goals, it's going to be a knockout of the park.
Yeah, and I think you've said a couple of things here that I think are really important. Right? We are sort of in a little bit of a renaissance when it comes to Christian art, when it comes to telling stories about these characters from the Bible that we've heard or seen 1,000 times. We've seen many different takes on David, but I think that we want to take an approach where we're kind of seeing this hero's journey, and we want to take our time. And so we know right off the bat, listen, we're starting out with a 55-minute pilot episode about David going through the process to being anointed by the prophet Samuel. And so we're going to take our time. We're going to let these characters breathe. We're going to build who these characters are. And then over this 8-episode journey in the series, we want the David versus Goliath to be this earth-shattering moment. What happens when we see it in cinema, what happens when we see it in other sort of biographical shows, is it sort of strips all of the importance, the historicity, the Christ-centered symbolism out of it. And we know a big part of David were the men and women he was surrounded by every single day. Who were the women that played a big part in David loving passionately the singing and the playing? Who are the men that sort of taught David how to throw a sling, right? So building these relationships over this large span of time, I think, is going to help us really build a relationship with the characters. And like we've seen in shows like The Chosen, right? You get this ability over multiple episodes to see how these characters respond and react. And, you come into a moment like there at the end of season 3, right, where we got Peter walking out on the water with Jesus, and everybody knows the story, but we have led up to that moment over the entire season, and people are just weeping, right? Like that's, I think, what TV offers. And this renaissance is going to be important when it comes to allowing these characters to shine in a new way. And so, Kyler, do you want to talk a little bit about some of the creative direction you've taken with the writing? And we'll jump right in and show our teaser for David.
Yeah, and I am always my brother's biggest fan. I will never, ever be able to fully put in words what he is capable of doing. His talent is bar none. I mean, you'll see in the trailer in a second. This is something that my brother, not a team of people, not millions of dollars behind him. Catherine saw it just a second ago. So, you understand what I'm saying. This is a person, not even me. I'm not even doing this. This is just him.
Yeah.
I talked to him about like images and things that we can do. What we are going to be able to do with the story of David, if we find the support that we need, is going to be uncommon. It's going to be unbelievable. The art direction, the art style that we're taking, the storytelling style, I am greatly influenced by epic fantasy. I am a huge fan of Brandon Sanderson, of Tolkien, of Patrick Rothfuss. I mean, The Wheel of Time, doesn't matter. If it's epic fantasy, I'm a huge fan of it. There's a ton of epic fantasy. There's a ton of the supernatural in the Old Testament. My brother and I, ultimate grand scheme, would love to try to build out something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a way that is able to highlight some of these Old Testament and characters in a way where they can interact with one another and where you can see grand scope these characters coming together in a real way. If we were to take our art style from someone, it would be very much like a Christopher Nolan, an A24 production style. There's a little bit of Zack Snyder in there, which you're going to see here in just a second. And it's not that we're trying to replicate those styles. It's how we naturally find ourselves lending. So hang in there. If this feels intense to you, just know one very important thing. There are moments of great intensity in this storytelling and moments of gentleness, moments of David in the meadow, great moments of David learning his love for worship, learning his love for music. There are a few key scenes that I'm really excited to share with you all and talk about as we go further along in the crowdfunding. But this is a wide spectrum. Again, like my brother was saying, we're afforded the opportunity to tell these stories in such a way these characters really get time. So it doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel cheesy. We're able to really linger on the learning and on the realizations, which I think is what makes a good character.
Yeah. And so just wanted right off the bat, the very beginning of the pilot episode is very intense. We've heard from some people, they say, ooh, this is a little scary. And what we want to say is when God comes to the prophet Samuel and he says, why do you grieve over Saul? I've chosen another. Go take a bull, sacrifice on his behalf. And he's a child from the tribe of Jesse. And so there's this beautiful sort of moment where God comes and speaks. And what we have here, this is a concept, right? We haven't shot this stuff yet, but we're trying to show what the beginning of this episode is going to look like. And we were lucky enough to be able to put together a quick teaser, and I'm going to have the full 2.5-minute teaser trailer that's going to be out here in the coming weeks. And so without further ado, here we go.
Speak, Lord. Старайтесь вечно. Who is he? Who is the one to come?
There it is.
So we are definitely playing with this high contrast black and white right off the bat. We are going to hit our viewers with this intense vision that our prophet Samuel is having. And we're going to just let that play out as God's kind of speaking to him. God's going to be, very in a very hush hush, not that booming God voice, but in a very whispery hush hush, kind of having this conversation with the prophet. And he's brought out into this field and he's seeing these things play out before him as God is saying, I'm anointing another. And so we've got some symbolism there. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Boom. Nice. Cool.
Yeah, we are teasing with our teasers a little bit, but listen, if we hit this crowd, I'm telling you all, if we hit this crowdfunding goal, and we want to talk just a little bit about that crowdfunding here in a moment. But before we do, you heard a beautiful voice there, the beautiful voice of Samuel, and we are blessed. We are going to have a live stream coming up where we get to hear more from the very talented Steve Sherman. I'm going to tell you real quick a little bit about our experience with Steve. In a total act of God, we reached out to him about a full year ago at this point, just being really impressed with his work on The Chosen. He had kind of a minor role. His role has since gotten bigger, which is really wonderful. And we got to have a conversation with him, got to learn from him immediately. Steve is the easiest actor to direct. Everything is, yes, let me try that. Oh, I want to. I mean, we had like a 2-hour session with him where we were working through episode 1, which is the pilot episode that we're going to be raising for. And to see his version of Samuel come to life is going to be one of the great joys of you watching biblical cinema.
You know, Tyler, can I just say something? Can I say something?
Say it.
So we've already revealed Catherine. We've already revealed Steve. Do we want to see him in character? We want a little concept art. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Let's show a little concept art here. Boom. It's not perfect, but man, I saw this picture of Steve and I was like, oh snap. It's like Gandalf. Man, there is an intensity to this character. He carries the weight of meeting with God. Man, it's incredible. It's incredible, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely. And one of the things that I love about Steve, I had thought about Samuel being powerful. Steve has a kindness in his voice that I think is really going to play in the character of Samuel, where you really weep with Samuel over the wickedness of Israel. Samuel, some people may not know, Samuel is kind of in the midst of a sort of retirement whenever God comes to him and tells him to go and to anoint David and to take back on the role of the prophet. And so it's going to be a really fascinating thing to get to watch for sure as we watch him bring this to life and experience these visceral visions where God throws him out of what he's seeing into this experiencing the weight and the power of God. And it's almost always a circumstance where it feels like to Samuel, he almost can't stand up. And there's kind of this sort of weight to playing this role. And we're so excited, Steve, to have you on and to get to talk to you on a future live stream.
Let's just stop because Catherine, I think that is like the second time you've seen the teaser. Like, what do you think? What do you think about this approach? Totally different, but is there space for it sort of in this faith-based landscape?
I actually think this is so necessary in the faith-based landscape because we all know the movies we grew up with or like the, G-rated Bible stories that, actually one of my favorite Bible stories growing up was Prince of Egypt, which was like, you could watch that movie today, right now, and the graphics are so good. I think it still stands the test of time.
Girl, you're going to have to shut up. You talking about the Prince of Egypt. Kyler and I, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's what I think. This could be. It's like that epic and that cool and that like just so well done that it doesn't deter you. It actually draws you further in. And it's like you don't want to be distracted by the filmmaking when it comes to these stories. The stories are so good inherently. These are classic stories that we all know and love. And so for our execution of them to be the problem, I'm just so excited about that with this and your approach because I feel like it's edgier, it's cooler, it's hipper, and it's going to be exploring those sides of it that are uncomfortable and that are like it's unsettling, like when the Lord touches you, it's like sometimes a really scary experience. So I think I'm excited to see where that angle will take us.
Yeah.
Well,
let's take a look at some of the other characters. What do you think, Tyler?
Absolutely, go for it.
So we are so excited to announce, and you guys have seen her in the comments. We're going to be bringing on a very familiar face. Gigi Orcio is going to be playing the part of Nitzevet, David's mother. So there's a very unique kind of perspective there that I think Gigi has. And she says, hey, y'all, what's up, Gigi? She's in the comments. Let Gigi know that we love her. We appreciate her. She's right off the back of going to some awards, the Movie Guides Awards. She's been a part of several different projects as of recent. If you get on her IMDb, it's long. She works hard. She is a hard worker. And we met with her a couple different times to talk over this character. It's a character that Kyler and I both have a lot of respect for and a lot of love and admiration for. And she's got to be believable. She's got to carry that motherly instinct in. And I'll tell you what we saw on the page and the performance was just absolutely breathtaking.
And again, it was another situation where watching Gigi take direction and seeing the level of professionality that she, I mean, even which Caleb and I love whenever an actor says, "Can I take this a different direction and just try stuff?" The one thing that we will not lack on in our producing and our projects is believability. We will do anything at the cost of the actor being believed on screen, and the warmth and the heart and the motherliness. All you have to do is jump onto Gigi's Facebook and you'll see 1,000 pictures of her with her daughters. And so it's real. It's coming from a very genuine place, and it's a place that she knows well. There's a very powerful scene with Nitzevet after David has been anointed. And it's a really, really beautiful monologue where Nitzevet is wrestling through the weight of having to give her baby child to God. And it's one that's mirrored in the prophet Samuel, who was given away by his own mother. And so you get to see some really cool parallels play out in that story. And we're so excited to see Nitzevet come on. David would not have been who he was. This is something that we're taking a little bit out of Dallas Jenkins' playbook here. And we're creating some characters that are kind of in the margins, but David could not have been the warrior that he was, and the musician, and tender, and kind, and God-fearing just from Jesse. There's no possible way. And so the question that we have realized that we're bringing to life in this season is, who is that woman? Who is that woman that raised the first form of the Savior, ultimately the lesser Savior, that is going to save Israel in this moment? And so we believe that she's going to bring the power of that character to life.
And I just want to say too, I think that there's a fierceness in both of these women, Catherine and Gigi, that it felt like when we were auditioning, when we were meeting with them and talking through the characters, that seeing them together, seeing them on screen performing side by side, just felt like, man, there could be some electricity there. And really, Catherine and Gigi, Nitzevet and Eva become this sort of lifelong sort of partnership in these characters. And we see that play out over multiple episodes, multiple seasons, if we can get this crowdfunding off without a hitch. And, I think as Kyler had mentioned as well, these characters are experiencing a ton of just being thrown into superstardom. This idea of their baby boy just being picked out to be the next king, and then he goes on to really just collect so much fame for following what God tells him to do. But ultimately, this character of Nitzevet, she knows the destruction and the chaos and the hardship that comes with the king's crown. The thing that the people of Israel begged God to give them, but God said, no, I don't want to. And then finally he relented and he gave them what they wanted. And so there's this idea of this crown, this design that you all have seen. We're going to be using that in the intro of the episodes. This crown that is on fire and falling to pieces. It is a fake crown, right? It's the idea of fake royalty before the real true crown comes in Jesus Christ. And it comes with calamity. It comes with hardship. It comes with, yes, fame and fortune, but it also comes with just this intensity. And we got some concept art, both showing Nitzevet's character, Gigi, and that crown that we were talking about.
Yes, it's a crown of royalty, and it's a crown of wrath. Anyone that wears it long enough, you see throughout the canon of Israel's history that there's a king, and they're wonderful and righteous in the eyes of God, and then you have another king that comes shortly after that, and they're wicked in the eyes of God. And it's this up again, down again history and story that's meant to show really the way that all of us are. We're all unable to be perfectly faithful. That's the need for the true Savior that is to come. And so we have some really cool imagery. One of the things that we're hopeful to do, and then Caleb, I really think that from here we could move on to talk a little bit about Leilani is up. Okay. I didn't realize we were announcing that one. I'm so excited for that.
Leilani Diamond. Leilani Diamond. All right. Now, relative unknown. I want to say this about Leilani, and I know I've seen her kind of in the chat, and we've spoken with her mom. Leilani is legitimately the biggest ball of energy you have ever seen. She is, I mean, when she came into audition for us, we knew we needed little sisters of David, right? We knew we were going to need someone who is going to pick up this sort of comedic approach and also this quirkiness. But also, Leilani is one of the best singers I've ever heard in my life.
She's
so,
very talented.
Just go check her up on YouTube, Lenny Diamond. You go check this girl out. She sings with a passion that, I mean, is just, it's so understated for her age. We started doing a little bit of work here. We started playing, with this script, and we saw her bring this to life in a way that, it was very advanced acting. And we thought, man, okay, if we can put her in a couple of scenes with some of these brothers, with her brother David, show off that worship gifting that she has. I think we're starting to see quite a bit of talent when it comes to what these actors are presenting already. We heard the voice of Steve Sherman, which, he's posted a couple of videos online of him singing. I can't wait to play with the musical approach to what we're doing here. And
There's
how we see these characters.
There's absolutely a musical underpinning that goes throughout these stories. Many of the episodes will hinge on moments where the Psalms are being developed. They're not quite there. They're not quite David writing the finished versions of the Psalms, but they're moments where God is opening his eyes and where he's seeing these themes play out, that God is revealing. And you're kind of, we even have played around with this idea of text showing up across the screen that shows which part of the Psalms the current scene that's playing out are inspired by. And my brother also has a background in wedding cinematography and in shooting music videos. And so there are major, where it could be seen as, whoa, this show is just going to be about action, and it's going to be about war, and it's going to be dark and gritty, which it is in some ways. There's also the beauty. There's the undertones of the worship and the music. There's a scene in the very first episode that we're hoping to be able to shoot this summer, where the whole family gathers together in the tent, and it's going to be shot quite like a music video, where you get to see the actors and the actresses come together and create some of the worship that sounds what we're hoping to be a blend of contemporary with the sounds and with the noises that would have been traditional to that time as well. And so we're gonna do a blend of both. Catherine, how do you feel about that?
I'm super excited about the music aspect. I just feel like so much of we can explore so much there, and it's going to be so beautiful to just use everybody's talents in the best way possible to tell the story.
Yeah. And I really think that that's what good showrunners and good creators do, is they lean into not just their own ideas about what they want to accomplish, but you also look, what are the talents that God has given us in the pool of actors that are coming to us? And how can we, real quick, my brother and I are very good at improv. How can we write in and create a culture in this where it feels alive, where it feels real, and not like we're trying to throw people into the stilted version of what we had already pre-imagined. And so
I love these ideas from the crowd too. Music video, what?
So, and I think that was one of the most beautiful things about writing the script is we have these peaks and valleys, and we have these moments. Like, why do you think David ended up out in the field when the prophet was so clear? Every boy you have, every son, make sure they're here. How did David end up out, right? And then on top of that, this idea of like a family that comes together and worships and deeply loves each other and has this deep affection. It just helps to build what is ultimately going to be this very difficult war breaking out on the hillsides. We've got neighbors that are coming over and they're saying, I've seen giants, I've seen terrible things. We got to flee. We got to get out of here. And this family gathers together to worship under this tent. We see that wind blowing through, and they're all underneath together. And Jesse, the father, says, let's worship. And we just see this moment where the women start to hum and the men start to hum, and they come in together, and it's this beautiful symphony of these voices. And it's like improv worship, right? They're not going off of lyrics and a songbook. It's all off of memory. And maybe we have one of the daughters who takes lead for a little bit, and then the other, and then it goes to a son. Then Jesse sings a little bit, and it's this sort of family unit. And we get to see, I think, for the first time, I love this, Gigi, these layers to each of these characters, that's sort of unfolding and peeling backwards. And these moments are going to make this project what it is, which is godly worship of Christ. To say, man, God was in the beginning. He is the God of the Old Testament. He is Christ to come, right? And then all of these moments, these worship moments of David laying out in the fields, he's tending to the sheep, and he's just so filled with worship. There's a song, our sister Kristen wrote, a song that I've listened to for 3 years. She wrote it. She just sang it.
She didn't write it. Jesus wrote it.
And I can't do it justice. I can't do it justice. But when we get the opportunity to play this song for everyone, it's God, and he's essentially saying, I look on the heart, and it's my joy to make a king of a shepherd boy. No one else will do. And no one else will do. You chase after me with all your heart, and it's my joy. Then I love the lines and the lyrics of the Old Testament kind of playing out what is to come, that this sort of running after Jesus with all of our heart, it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be Christ-centered. It's going to be faith-filling, right? And it's also going to have some stuff in it that's going to be really high contrast. It was a very dangerous time.
I'd like to say something about that as well, Caleb. The New Testament tells us, and maybe Steve can write it into the chat for us, the exact verse. The New Testament tells us that Jesus is the Word made into flesh. Mm-hmm. So where we might not get to show the person of Jesus Christ in this story, we know that the Bible and all Scripture is the Word of God, and that Jesus is the Word made flesh, in revealing this story about King David and who David was pointing towards, and the moments where you see Jesus wrapped in this story. We are bringing Jesus to life in this story, in this TV show. And so where it may feel like, oh, it's just the Old Testament, we won't get to see the person of Jesus. No, actually you will. You just have to look and see the theme of the coming king that is perfect, that finally he's putting an end to the kings that are unjust, that are unrighteous, and he's reigning on high, and he's good, and he's kind. And so that's what we're hoping to be able to show. And that's something that I really wanted to express.
So Kyler, I think we've got to hit crowdfunding goals. We've got to talk about that. And then I want to have at least 10 minutes to answer questions. Want to get folks out at a decent time tonight on the East Coast. On the West Coast, you guys are like sipping your midday coffee right now. On the East Coast, we're about to fight. It's like 1 a.m. or something. Everybody else has young kids. It's 8:45. I'm like, yeah. So Kyler, why don't we just really lay the groundwork for this, right? So number one, I know that this is a huge ask. I would not ask it of you. I wouldn't ask it of anybody if I didn't feel like God was asking me to ask it of you. And so I think first things first, we realize this is a huge gargantuan task. And as Kyler said to me the other day, this might be a David versus Goliath moment, right? Where we're really coming to you humbly and we're saying, would you partner with us? This is going to be a donation system that we've set up through a website called GiveButter. And I'm just going to go ahead and post that into the chat. Kyler, you go ahead and take over. Tell them a little bit about what we're going to try to accomplish.
Yeah, I think on one hand, my brother is right. I think this is a big ask. And on the other hand, if you know anything about cinema, if you know anything about production costs, it's really, really, really inside of the scope of humble. And we're doing this. If you know my brother and my backstory, we produced a short film that won a couple of awards for $5,000. That's unheard of. Our work ethic is going to our real blue collar from the South work ethic. My brother is going to do the majority of the editing. We're not going to have a whole editing team. Whenever you talk about bringing the actors in, our hope is to be able to create a facility that's nice and it's comfortable. Every dollar that we get is going to go to producing David in a way that blows minds. And so And I don't mean this in any kind of an egotistical way. You could not find two people that are better with their money. My brother and I take it very seriously. We're taking every penny, every cent that we possibly can, and we're putting it to good use. And so, Caleb, do you have some of the graphics ready for me to be able to discuss?
Yeah, so I've shared it actually onto our chat, so you'll
Okay,
see
perfect.
the name is kind of funny. The website is called Give Butter. It's actually the #1 crowdfunding website that is currently out right now. And the reason that we went with it is their percentages that they take is astronomically low compared to some of the others that are out there, such as Kickstarters and those. It takes 5-10% of what we're given. This one is actually going to take 1.2% of what we're going to be asking for.
And so the total funding that we're trying to hit for just the pilot episode of David the King's Calling is going to be $300,000. We're going to be shooting to get to that here in the next 2 to 3 months. Our hope is that you guys would really want to see David the King's Calling come to life, that you would be sharing this with friends, that you would be talking with people and telling them about what we're doing, about this element of worship, this element of bringing King David to life in a believable way. Our suspicions are that as we are gaining headway, and this is generally the way that this works in production goals, as people see us making headway, more excitement around the project will build. People will start to reach out to us. Whenever my brother and I hit $25,000 raised, we will be bringing on a contract lawyer, a contract attorney that's specifically in entertainment and in investing. And so this is going to be something that does parlay also into an investment opportunity on the backside. At 300,000, you get to see King David come to life in the most believable way that has ever been presented to you on film. So I know that 300,000 sounds like a lot. It is a lot in some ways. And yet at the same time, for shows like The Chosen, they raised $12 million for that first season, which was about 8 episodes long. And so to put this into perspective, The Chosen was somewhere around $1.3, $1.4 million an episode. We're just trying to hit 300,000 to be able to make this work. In the event we're moving towards it, and let's say we don't quite hit that 300,000, every dollar that is raised will be parlayed into a smaller version of David a King's Calling, where we are going to produce something this summer. The hope would be that we can take this money, produce something to show distributors, to show other producers, to show people that are more networked than my brother and I are right now, to be able to hopefully come together and figure this out. And so, Catherine, you have more industry experience than the both of us, and you can talk. 300,000 hits somebody in Southern Illinois like a train, but maybe you can talk a little bit more about what that number looks like and what it means in terms of transitioning into production.
Certainly. I honestly think that if we can get this made for 300,000, we've done an amazing feat, because just so you're aware of filmmaking in general, this is just one of the most expensive things you can possibly dream for. And, this is going to involve paying our cast, paying our crew, and crew is going to be, we have camera department, we have grip and electrical department, we have people lighting the sets, these are people who this is their livelihood. And so we're helping support them. They're working on a project that they're passionate about, and everybody's being paid a living wage and being able to pull this off together. And it's just so that we can all come together and make something that's such good quality that it will stand the test of time and it will inspire people today. And I just think as great quality as we can come together to make this, just the more people are going to be able to see it, be drawn to the stories. And for me, like, one of the greatest things about this story in particular is that we just need strong male role models. And I know we're going to have amazing female characters in there. I'm so excited to be a part of bringing those to life. But I think our society today would just blossom with some strong, inspiring, just powerful and relatable young male characters. And I think that's one of the greatest things about David a King's Calling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Caleb, did you want to take?
Well, yeah. So I just want to say this, right? So when we talk about $300,000, again, I think heads spin. To put this into perspective, God has already been laying the groundwork for 3 years now. I was able to wonderfully meet a farmer who has 500 head of sheep, over 300 acres, and he said, Caleb, and he's a 75-year-old man. He said, Caleb, you tell me where you want me to plant stuff, I'll plant it. You tell me what you want cleaned out, I'll clean it out. You guys come do David here. And that is a location, right? That
500 sheep.
And he's got dogs. He's got 3 dogs. He can pull them up in circles for us. It's really amazing how God has already been laying the groundwork. We've had conversation with folks. They said, show us you can build a community. Show us you can raise 100,000 and we'll match. We'll help out with that, right? And so really all this is right now, it's not necessary. I see we have $200 already raised, and that is unbelievable. Thank you so much for already jumping in. The best thing we can have right now is you sharing to your friends and family saying, hey, I see this really cool thing coming. You got to check it out. You got to look this up. And we're trying to present the best we can on this crowdfunding website. Try and get people tuning into the live streams. We're going to continue to push with casting. We've got Catherine helping us out there on that front as well. And we've got a ton of very exciting announcements already sort of in the wings. We're waiting to release. We want to sign contracts. We want to be able to make sure everything is put in its place. But, God is already starting to move on these things. And I think that it comes, there's a revival that's kind of breaking out right now. And it's just this beautiful sign. And it's something Catherine said, where we need male role models. We need men and women who run after Jesus with all of their heart. We need people to start to stand up. And to be honest, 3 years ago, the idea I would ever do anything like this was unfathomable.
Yeah.
Right? I was at a place where I said, I'm going to work for a corporate entity doing commercial advertising for the rest of my life. It's safe. It's comfortable. There's no need to have to put myself out there. I get to stay behind the camera. And then I saw the first episode of The Chosen. And my wife was going through a very intense cancer battle at the time. The entire world was shut down. COVID was taking just so many people out of the ability to gather together. We couldn't go to church. And I watched this scene play out where Jesus is meeting with Mary Magdalene, and he's saying, I've chosen you by name. You are mine. And I just wept for probably 2 hours, just wept, thinking that was for me. That moment was for me. And I know so many other people have said that as well. And it felt like it was a call out of obscurity of what I was doing to say, will you trust me? And every step of the way, yes, Lord, we'll trust you. Save some money together, did a little short film. That has been picked up. It's being looked at right now. It's been bought from a distribution company, and a possibility of turning that into a feature film. And we're saying, Lord, whatever you call us to, we just want to do due diligence with it. And I think that is what's happening right now. Every step of the way, the next few steps, we have 300 raised now. Somebody already just donated another $100. Building this community is the big next step, and seeing, faith-based film really take a step up into a new era of quality.
And it is
men and women committing themselves with their talents to say, Lord, I want to give you glory. And I think that's what's happening in my heart, and what I know from talking with Catherine and Kyler. We just really want to steward that to the best of our ability. So we got 5. Yes, and we got 5 minutes, and I want to make sure we're asking some questions of folks.
Yeah. Here's the last thing I want to say. It was the case, if you read the Bible, that the most excellent men and women were those that worshiped God, and the most excellent art, and the most excellent storytelling, and the most excellent bronze work, and the most excellent painting. Doesn't matter. It came from men and women that knew God and that loved God. And I believe that we are coming into a time where that is happening again. I'm seeing it happen in our nation. I'm seeing things like the largest ever crowdfunding campaign with The Chosen. I'm seeing The Chosen drops a couple of episodes into theaters, and it does better than Black Panther 2. I just stuff that you can't imagine. And guess what? It's just the beginning. We have to take the slack in our hands and we have to work hard. But I really believe God's excellence, exactly what Emily just said. God's excellence is going to shine forth in the days to come. And you are going to see, I'll say this 100 times, I'll say it 1,000 times if I have to, you are going to see a version of King David that has never been done. And if we get to put our stamp on it, it will never be done again. It will set the standard for King David as a flawed, but emotionally deep, complex, worship-loving warrior with the Spirit of God on him to battle and to also weep in the presence of God. And it's what we need. It's what we need in these days. It's what we need in these times.
And we know too, listen, God can raise $300,000 in a day.
Mhm.
I'm not worried about the money. I'm worried about the community. I'm worried about establishing a rapport with you all. So you know who we are, you know our hearts, you know that this isn't just a career choice or decision. There are actually a lot of other easier ways to make money. I promise you. And this is not a money making, I don't want to do this to make money.
Mhm.
I want to do this because I've seen what Kyler's written. And I feel like, man, it impacts me to the point of weeping. I want others to see this. I want people to feel deeply that this story matters and it deserves the right amount of time and attention to be able to get there. Catherine, parting words before we go to questions and answers.
Oh my gosh, guys, I just, all I can say is these two are some hardworking folks. They have their hearts in the right places, and that's why I signed on board. And I am really just excited to see where this goes and where this takes all of us. And I just love everybody's being so supportive and so fired up in the comments, and we're already reaching goals we didn't even anticipate in this hour. So thank you guys. And yeah, just pray about it. Just pray and see what the Lord tells you, because I think that this is a beautiful season in filmmaking, in TV making, in Hollywood in general, for believers, and I'm so excited to see what comes of it.
So, question and answers. Please put your questions in the chat. I've heard some people ask about the hats. We had the hats made going into production for our short film. We really want to, I think, get into a position in a place where we're doing the very standard crowdfunding, like, if you give this much, we do that. We're still formulating what we can actually pay out so that we can afford you all t-shirts or hats or posters or bring you to set, those kinds of things. These are conversations Catherine, Kyler, and I are working out very diligently right now. We'll be adding all of that information and that will be updated. So if you give $100, it's not like you missed out on your hat, right? So I will make sure that every single person is accounted for, and we will make sure that you guys feel loved and tended to. We want this to be reciprocity, right? We don't just want to take from you. We don't want to say, hey, share and give and like and like. We want this to be something where you see, hey, we're trying to build this community. We're in it with you, and we want to give back to you. And I think one of the ways that we're going to give back here early on, especially, is just building that relationship. So you see our hearts, you see our motives, you see what we really want in all this, which is to glorify God to the best of our ability.
Any other questions? I saw someone ask earlier about casting. Caleb, do you want to handle that? Where we are with casting?
Yep, Catherine, the three of us, we're working, we're talking right now. We probably have 18 roles that are uncasted. We've sought out a few very specific. We don't have David casted. The main character of the show is not casted. You're seeing in the concept art, we're using an actor model that lives actually in Pennsylvania and goes to Penn State. Unbelievable actor, Antonio Urrutia, and he was wonderful to work with. And we're leaving it open. We're still having conversations with him, but that role has not been filled. Many of the sisters, there's 3 other sisters that haven't been filled. Many of the brothers, we have one actor on what we feel is lock. We're still signing some paperwork there, waiting to hear back from different things. But we have a lot of the brothers. We have several that I think we're still filling those roles. We have a very specific look we're going for. We have a very specific agenda with the characters, and so we are being very careful to kind of walk into casting. And so much so, I think that we want to sort of own casting. We are working with an agent in LA who has been wonderful to help kind of give us some good ideas and and Catherine's also stepping into, I think, a pretty major role helping us with casting as well. And anything you want to say as far as like your experience being cast and the casting process so far, Catherine?
Oh my gosh, it's just wild. I don't know. I was excited just about the scene. I didn't have much of a background on it at the time, and it was actually for a different role than the one I'm playing, but I just felt like it was just a cool story, it's a period piece if you think about it, and I was just like, as an actor, this is a wonderful opportunity, and I'm super excited about the casting process. I think that it's going to be really exciting, just exploring people's talents, exploring the different look that we're going for, and I think it'll be really fulfilling finding the roles for each character.
Lori is wondering if we're going to be utilizing Actors Access or another platform later.
Typically, I would say for breakdown releases, and I don't know what levels. I know that managers and agents get a certain level, and then everybody else gets, the actor gets their own level of Actors Access. So it depends on whether or not people are represented and whatnot. But yes, that is one of the top services we'll be using.
Shooting locations, SAG or non-union?
We are looking into SAG-AFTRA, and shooting location. I think the Cook brothers might be able to explain a bit more.
Right now, we're looking at Pennsylvania. We have got a couple of very key elements that still have to come into place. We're very excited about the location, the Sweeping Hills. If you go check out our About Us video, it's on our website. The donate button is available on our website as well if you're looking for that link. So you can find everything you need at twinboltmedia.com. But the location is quite spectacular. I mean, it's sweeping hills. It feels like just out on the hillside of Bethlehem. And we've got this very specific look that we're looking for that we'll be using some green/blue screen effects, visual effects to accommodate for that sort of outside the city look. And really, this first episode, it's the cheapest episode because a lot of it takes place on this hillside out at Jesse's encampment. That the prophet is coming to do the anointing ceremony, and so we're really going to shoot this as budget friendly as possible, and that is going to be in central Pennsylvania. So we're looking at filming this summer. Go ahead.
Yeah, some questions about the crew. I know that the Cook brothers have had their own crews that they've worked with on their productions. I've certainly worked with a lot of LA-based crew types, and so yeah, that's going to be all part of the building out our production crew, building out our cast. That's all part of the process right now too.
Yeah, and we're really interested in building a team that's like-minded, people that can come together on set and be excellent and work hard. So we're working hard as unto the glory of God, but two, people that can be positive, that can add to the feel on set, that whenever you start to worship, it's a feel. It's people are involved, and we will definitely have actors on set that are not Christians. We will definitely have crew on set that are not following Jesus. That's okay. In our belief, that's something that we believe is actually appropriate and even necessary in some ways. But for the large portion here, we want to really be creating a team of people that can work for decades with us. And so that's the big thing. I want to say this.
I want to say this, just giving a quick update. We've got 650 raised. We are almost 1/300th the way to our ending budget.
Wow.
Just to put that in perspective, one night with 299 more live streams, we got ourselves a production. And I'm going to say this seriously. Kyler and I would do it. We'd do 299 more of these if that's what it meant. And I fully believe that God's going to work it out. He's going to make it happen. We're going to build contacts, people that want to be involved in this and bring this production together. And I'm grateful. Thank you so much, Elias Kemuel, for your $250 donation just now. It means the world to us. We are going to steward this with as much just introspection on every buy, every single spend. And I think Catherine is going to do a hot air balloon across the country. We're not even going to fly her. She's just going to.
I'm ready. Let's go.
She's coming from California. We're going to have you just come on over free of charge. It'll take like 3 weeks probably, but
perfect. I'll write a novel about it, about my experience. That could be some background footage we'll use.
Just to end on a clear ask here, If you guys can please make sure that you're inside of the David A King's Calling fan page. If you can please go and invite your friends that you think would be supportive of an epic show. I'm talking all ages, the teenagers in your life. They're going to love this. The people that aren't teenagers in your life, they're going to be blown away by this. It's going to be very good. Please do us a favor. Go through, hit the invite friends button, and go through your entire friends list. If you cannot donate $1, that's okay. This work of getting the word out right now is vastly more important. I'm not saying don't donate 300,000 if you're here and you have that, but it's vastly more important that we reach a wider audience, and that this number on the live stream goes from 30 to 60 to 100 to 400. That's really the kind of direction that we need to go. And if you guys can do that for us, that's the most helpful thing that we could have done for us tonight. So that's all I have. Caleb, do you want to end us in prayer?
Sure, absolutely. God, I just thank you for tonight. I thank you for these men and women who were a part of this. I thank you for just the feeling that this is in your hands, that you are going to do what you want with this. And we submit ourselves humbly and faithfully to you to say that if this works, God, we're so grateful. And if it doesn't, we put it in your hands and we trust where you're sending us. Father, yes, that you set our path and you set it straight. And we don't do anything out of our own understanding. We know that that's true. And so it doesn't make a ton of sense how this is going to happen, but we have faith and assurance that you're going to do it. And Amen. I thank you for the people you've already brought us into contact with. I pray that they would be stirred up in their faith, that they would be in their Bibles, that they would be seeking out opportunity time to worship and experience you, Father, the living King, Jesus. And that tonight you would be with us, you'd be working on our hearts, and you'd continue to reveal yourself to us new every single day, Father. So we thank you for this time. Thank you for our sister, Catherine. Pray you bless her. And thank you for the people that showed up and turned out, the 30 to 35 viewers throughout this process, that you would bless each of them, Father. In your name, amen.
Amen. Wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.